use it to Ms. Stiles, would you please read the Freedom of Information Act?
In accordance with the South Carolina Code of Laws 1976, Section 30-4-ABD, as amended, notification of the meeting and the meeting agenda were posted at least 24 hours prior to the meeting on the County Council building in a publicly accessible place on the county website, and a copy of the agenda was provided to the local news media and all persons or organizations requesting notification.
Thank you very much. Would the audience please silence their phones? We've had a rash of people with phone ringing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Pledge of Allegiance by me and invocation by Mr. Ralph.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father, thank you for this day and thank you for allowing us to come together. Father, we pray for our county, our state, and our nation. And Father, give us wisdom and guidance tonight as we go through these budgetary things. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Approval of the agenda. I'm going to remove item 19 from the agenda. This was an ordinance that was sent down back to the Planning Commission, and they're going to do a workshop. So they are not prepared. And also there will be an executive session. Item 2, which is discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contract arrangements and proposed purchase or sale of property. Receipt of legal advice where the legal advice related to pending, threatened, or potential claim or other matters covered by the attorney-client privilege. Settlement of legal claims or the position of the public agency and other adversary situations involving the assertion against the agency of a claim. Potential litigation and position of a public agency. Do I have a motion, or do I have a discussion? No discussion?
You said item number 2.
Well, I'm reading this.
Oh, you were just reading, okay. Thank you.
Hearing no discussion, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda with removal of item number 19 and the executive session that the chairman read out.
Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Any comment? Hearing none, all those in favor vote and raise the right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All against? Hearing none, the motion is passed. Approval of the minutes of April 7th, 2025 and April 14th, 2025. Do I have any discussion? No discussion. Any motion to approve or disapprove the approval of the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor raise their right hand and vote aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? The motion is passed. Citizen comments. Open floor to the public per ordinance number 08-17. Any citizen of the county may sign up to speak in person at the council meeting before the council meeting, 6 p.m. start on the sign-in sheet on the podium. To address council on matters pertaining to county services operations. Presentations will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and total public input will be limited to 30 minutes. 30 minutes are allocated for the public comment, and each speaker is allotted 3 minutes. Speakers may not donate, transfer, yield, or give any of their speaking times to another person. Speakers may sign in on an agenda list maintained by the clerk of the council prior to each meeting, and include their name, address, and include the subject and purpose for which they seek to address council. All public comments shall be directed to the county council as a whole, not to any member thereof. Speakers shall confine their comments under the jurisdiction of the county and shall not use public comment period, the comment period, to promote or advertise awards, businesses, services, or candidates for public office. Council does not take action based on public comment at the meeting, as a council does not take action on items not on the agenda. The chairman may direct the speaker to contact the administrator to give or receive additional information. All speakers shall be mindful and respectful of those participating in or present at the meeting. Speakers are to be civil in their language and shall refrain from comment or behavior that includes name calling, personal attacks, threats, obscene language, and or disruptive actions. We have one, Ms. Shergott, on budget.
Thank you. Pamela Shergott, 95 River Oak Way, Hardyville. As a taxpayer of Jasper County for the past 12 years, I'm at a loss as to why the county administration is so ill-prepared for not only budget questions, but also county council meetings. With respect to the budget, there's no logic to how the budget was formulated. The information given to council and the public reflects zero analysis. As someone who's been in the public sector for over 40 years, including being responsible for the preparation, analysis, and execution of a $32 million budget, I cannot believe that the staff is that inept. It seems that it's a free-for-all with taxpayers' monies. Where is the 1-year, 3-year, 5-year operating plan or capital plans? There seem to be non-existent. Departments are little fiefdoms with grandiose expectations of increasing their empire. Where is the budget analyst to ensure each department is within budget? Are there checks and balances in place to ensure departments do not spend monies that were not budgeted for? There seems to be no central system for any type of purchasing or ensuring public monies are spent using economies of scales, etc. This fiscal year alone, there seems to be a deficit in what revenue was collected and what was spent. Line items were amended in this year's budget, yet actuals are so far below the original request. I watched the workshops, and my perception is that staff is never prepared when they come before council. Each meeting there is an excuse why they do not have the information requested. I know that if this was my agency, progressive discipline would be enacted up to and including discharge for being so ill-prepared to our board of directors. The county has accepted federal monies, and with that comes responsibilities and requirements that the county is not doing. This could lead to the FAA requesting its monies back. We, the taxpayers, cannot afford that to happen. With the current political uncertainty, especially when it comes to FEMA, and with the 70% chance of tropical storm hurricane impact for our area this year, it would behoove the council and administration to have some forward planning. There are departments that are overstaffed, others that are understaffed, etc. We, the people of this county, elected this council to enact change in transparency and accountability. If we do not have enough monies in the coffers to ensure we can clean up Jasper County in the event of a natural disaster, we are in sad shape. There are a significant number of people who would be willing to help county council understand the budgeting process and analysis of county expenditures. I suggest council think about formulating a financial committee and hiring a budget analyst that reports directly to the council for monthly updates on our financial position to budget. For the administration to suggest the council should fly at a high level and not look at the details, relying on staff to do this, is why we are in this position. Accountability of the administrator and his staff as the council's purview, and we, the citizens, will hold this council accountable at election time. I strongly urge county council not to approve this budget, but to approve a stopgap measure for 2 months until all the questions can be answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that ends public comment. Number 6, consideration of resolution R-2025-36, a resolution of Jasper County Council to approve special services contract with Stifel, Necklace and Company Incorporated to serve as the municipal advisor for proposed bond ordinance currently under consideration by the County Council. Ms. Burgess.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council. As you read, this is a resolution to hire Stifel, Nicholas and Company Incorporated to provide financial advisory services for this one particular bond issuance, as time is of the essence. Our bond attorney on this particular issuance recommended several different municipal financial advisors, and I interviewed one who had the time, essentially, because of the necessity for some quick action, and I felt like, obviously, that they were going to be a good fit, and it would be sort of a trial. And as we move forward into other bond issuances, we will have an RFP or an RFQ prepared and then hire someone as a result of that. But for this particular issuance, we would ask that the council approve Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated to provide the services for this issuance. Yes, as you, I'm sure you're aware, our previous municipal advisor, Mr. John Canny, passed away earlier in the year in an accident, and so we had to find a new one for this particular issuance, find a new person.
Mr. Van Giesen. Any?
No, not at this time.
I think we've already talked about this and good.
Mr. Rowell.
And the selection of this group was done through all of our policy and procedure and everything?
Not in this particular case, no, sir, although we can have, our ordinance provides for special services that do not have to go through the RFP process. So this would fall under that particular aspect of the ordinance. But with this, there's a sort of a relationship that you have to develop with a municipal advisor. And as I stated, he interviewed me, I interviewed him, and we felt like we could work together on this particular issuance, and then we would move forward with an RFP.
That's all I have.
I have none. Do I have a motion to approve or disapprove or amend?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second? Well, I do have a comment. What happens if we don't approve this?
Then we can't move forward with our bond issuance until we have another municipal advisor in place, which would be longer than it would take. We don't have the time in order to do that with this particular bond issuance.
If I could, the reason we have to have a financial advisor is because of SEC Securities and Exchange Commission regulations, protection for the council, the administrator, myself, and everybody else is involved with this. If we don't have a financial advisor, we can be personally liable. There's city managers down in Florida that have lost their homes because they didn't have financial advisors to keep them from doing things wrong. So it's an important position to be filled. You know, all things being considered, we'd rather have been a request for proposals and found a permanent one. But Mr. Canny didn't plan to run into a train and get killed in the middle of this. So it's kind of an emergency situation we have here. And we're trying to do the best we can to pay off a bond using the monies we have on hand and provide capital for the all to move forward with the capital improvement plan in this coming year. And it'd be nice to have someone tell us it's done right.
I've got a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
How long have we known this? Did he just pass away, or is this something?
Yes.
6 to 8 weeks ago, if I remember right.
It's about a month. 6 weeks, yeah.
Yes.
It was
Not
very,
too
very
long
recent.
ago.
He was run over by a train.
Wow.
And just for clarification, this is something we discussed recently. And we all,
Do I have a second?
And what is the timeline on this as far as when does this need to, I know you're saying time is
So
up.
we have the third reading of the bond issuance tonight. then we start the preparation. The plan is to have something issued by, that was end of August? August 31st, I believe, August or September timeframe. So there's a lot of work that goes into preparing for that bond issuance. And as I mentioned, this does fall under the special services aspect of the purchasing ordinance.
And it also aligns with your newly refigured debt service millage that we talked about in your existing budget.
Yes.
And I'd like to echo some of the same things like the attorney just said with, we want to make sure that if we do enter into with someone, even though this is an emergency, we didn't go through the standard processes that we would normally go through. How do we know that we've selected the best person?
Because he was recommended, first of all, he was recommended by the bond attorney, Mr. Flynn, Lawrence Flynn, so he was recommended by him. He was actually said he would have that time available to do this bond issuance for her on behalf of the county because of the fact that time is of the essence. We met rather quickly. We talked. We have a relationship. We've established a relationship, I should say. We know what each other looks like, and he gave me some of his background, and I feel confident that he can provide us with the services necessary for this bond issuance.
And this is just for this one specific bond issue?
That's the plan, yes, sir. One specific bond issuance, and then we'll move forward with an RFP or an RFQ, whichever is the more appropriate method to find another bond municipal advisor, financial advisor.
Could I make an amendment to say that in the resolution that this will be a one-time?
I believe it says that.
I believe it does, but you can certainly do that, yes, sir.
And this is for which bond that we're doing the issuance on, or doing
The $6 million that we have the third reading in the public hearing tonight.
That's one, two, or something. 12 of that.
Right.
We have to bond it, we have to use it to bond it.
So it's in the aggregate amount not exceeding $6,200,000, and that's now referred to as bonds. And in the section, whereas the Jasper County Council desires to utilize the services of the financial advisor related to the issuance of the bonds, meaning this bond issuance, a very specific bond issuance.
May I ask Andy a question?
Yes.
Andy, I believe when we went over this, we talked about there were certain, I just need clarification, as a reminder, there were certain monies that couldn't be used for other things. It had to, in order for us to access the money that's there, we have to go through this process.
That's correct.
Can you explain that so everybody will understand?
With Ms. Burks' help, but yes, we have traditionally had debt service millage, and we talked about that. Mr. Flynn came and spoke to you about that as well. We needed to get away from spending, we have separate debt service millage. We were spending that debt service millage on general obligation bonds, on other things, special source revenue bonds, leases, and others. And he said, if you're going to have that separate millage, you need to stick to just the general obligation bonds for the debt service. And so in this proposed budget, we talked about that, which we did. We shifted millage from the debt service to the operating. We still have to pay the debt. We just have to pay it in a different fashion through the operating, all debt that is not general obligation. And so we're trying to pay down all of your general obligations as much as we possibly can, so that you have that, what we call that powder dry, in case you have an event where you would need to borrow. That's backed by the full faith and credit of the county and the taxpayers. And we want to use that as sparingly as possible.
And this bond issuance will also pay off the Series 2014 installment purchase revenue bonds, which we were gearing up to pay off through the debt service fund, which we cannot do. It has to go through the general fund, so we can use these funds to pay that off and then use the debt millage to pay off the bond issuance.
Is there, just may a question to the council? Are we worried about this or worried about the bond?
just the procedure to get there. I want to make sure that, I understand this is emergency kind of circumstances, but I want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can, making sure we're bidding out the thing apples to apples with others, and we're kind of vetting those. But I do see that time is of the essence tonight. This is a one-off situation. So with that, I will second this motion.
I have a second comment. Mr. Van Giesen.
Well, it's a death, so it's hard to, say too much about it.
Okay. Mr. Orzillo.
No, sir.
Mr. Fowler. It's a one-off thing.
Yes, sir, that's
I
the
kind of
plan.
agree with it, and if it's about the bonding is per 1,000, right? $1,000 a bond. The bond is valued at $1,000. So it doesn't mean we have to borrow money, it just has to be prepared for borrowing.
Well, we're planning to issue it, yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So, hearing no comment of mine, all those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion is passed. Ms. Burgess again, consideration of resolution 2025-38, resolution to declare certain emergency services property to be surplus and authorize its demolition and disposition pursuant to section 2-425 of the Jasper County Code of Ordinance. Ms. Burgess.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of council. This is a resolution, as you said, to declare certain fire and emergency services property to be surplus and authorize its sale or disposition. There is a lengthy list, several lengthy lists. There's pallets of surplus equipment. Most of this equipment, I believe, was either retired, has been retired as part of the other pumpers, replacing the pumpers with the new pumpers. So there's quite a bit of equipment, and we'd just like to be able to dispose of it, potentially sell it, if we can find buyers.
Mr. Van Giesen.
So when we sell something like that, does that go in the coffers for,
General fund,
in the general fund? It doesn't go towards the fire?
No.
emergency?
goes to the general fund.
Okay.
That's where the expenditures came from when we bought it.
Mr. Van Giesen, I know that's a common question. We've talked about this at other meetings, but it goes into the general fund. Departments can always remember that. We can account that the money came back, but it cannot go back into their departments.
Can that be followed in the accounting once it's sold? And
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You see it coming in. You can see it coming in.
thank you, Ms. Burgess.
You're welcome.
Mr. Orzillo.
In that list, how many pumpers are in that list? You purchased
I
10.
have to really go back and look at it. We subsequently retained like 1 or 2 out of that list to meet the ISO reserve pumper status for ISO classification. But most of what we had already sent out was liquidated. I think that was 10, for sure. I'd have to go back and look at the equipment list. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Just as a general thing, I'd like to say, I think on purchases like that and at that expense, I think maybe we said before, 10 of them at one time sure would be good to space those things out. Everything comes due at the same time.
That's the plan as we move forward, yes, sir. When we brought that plan to you to purchase the 11, we had so many that were averaged about 27 years old. So the plan is to space those purchases out over the years going forward.
Who do we use, Gov Deals to liquefy?
Generally, yes, sir.
Okay, and do y'all have like a link on the county website for folks to get to be able to buy those liquidated things?
Yeah, I've never looked for it. Dallas Lassiter handles a lot of that.
Okay.
So if we don't, we can certainly put one.
Right, and it's probably good to kind of advertise that to some of our social media postings and other things to kind of bolster bids and things for that. There's quite a few things that will be liquidated, so.
And that's probably a limited market, sir. What?
Oh, so 8 engines.
8 engines, I believe, to answer your question, Mr. Ardilla. So,
Thank you.
Finish? I have nothing except the pumpers. I'd like to see that plan. I mean, when we passed it the last time, I was against it.
I can certainly appreciate that, but you also have to have a fleet that you can put into a replacement program.
Right.
The challenge is that the longevity, and it's either going before Congress as a hearing on the longevity and what it takes to get a fire truck.
Well, that's pretty good. So, are we paying for the fire? We're paying for 8. We have 8 of them. We have 10
No,
of
sir,
them.
you'll have all 11 by early 2026.
And we've
But
already,
wait, let's go back to the budget now. You're gonna have them by 2026, which is next year. We're budgeting for it now? We've already
Yes, sir.
budgeted last year, this
we
year,
got the
right?
money for all 11 up front
There's one purchase.
in one single purchase.
You're paying the lease purchase.
The bank,
So it's when we get it, we start paying.
no, sir, there's an
Upon
amortization.
receipt.
There's an amortization schedule. We received the money 6 months ago into the general fund bank account. We paid for 9, so there's still money in the general fund bank account for 2. And we are paying on that lease purchase. July 1st, we will make our first payment of about $348,000.
So we have how many pumpers?
We have 9.
We have 9 now?
We
In
have
service
9
now.
in service.
2 will be delivered early 2026.
So we will use we already have the money, but we will then pay for those 2.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend?
Make a motion to approve consideration of resolution 2025-39.
Do I have a second?
Second.
38.
38.
Sorry,
That's resolution
38, I was
38.
ahead of myself. 38, I'll amend that to 38.
Anyway, hearing none, any comments? Hearing no comments, all those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All against, the motion is passed. Ms. Burgess again. Consideration of resolution R-2025, a resolution authorizing the award of funds for the request for local accommodations and hospitality taxes.
Yes, sir, thank you. So as you know, the Jasper County awards or collects local accommodations and hospitality tax, and then seeks local organizations who request those funds from us. This year, we anticipate, or fiscal year 2026, we anticipate that the total local accommodation tax funds to be received will be about $210,000, and the local hospitality tax funds that the county will receive is approximately $560,000. The county also has, at this time, a total cash surplus of the 2 accounts combined of approximately $1.5 million. And that includes interest that's been earned on those accounts. The various organizations that have sought for funding are listed in the resolution, and the total of those amounts totals $986,197. So some of that surplus that I mentioned of 1.5 would be used in order to provide the funding that's been requested. We also, at some point later, maybe tonight or on the 23rd, will also provide you with some additional thoughts on that local hospitality and accommodations tax surplus. So one thing that I need to have added to this resolution is an exhibit that indicates what the finding of facts are. In other words, the state ordinances that govern local accommodations tax and local hospitality tax have very specific uses listed in the ordinances. I have a copy if you'd like one. And so in order to make sure that we have met the requirements of those particular, they're not ordinances, they're codes. We've generated a separate findings of fact for each line item, which I would like to have included in this resolution as an exhibit. And I can give you a copy of this as well, just so you'll know which use these items or requests fall under. We also have several people here tonight who have made requests that if you're interested in any, if you'd like to hear any of their input, they're available. And if you have any questions on anything specific in this resolution, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Mr. Van Giesen? No, I'll tell you, shake it up a little bit. Mr. Orzillo?
Ms. Burgess, is it fair to say that those accommodation taxes, they go up and down? So the surplus, you said 1.5 million. Next year it could be less, next year it could be more.
No, sir, generally, we have seen them go up. Hospitality has increased more so than accommodations. Jasper County just doesn't have the number of hotels. We have plenty of restaurants. So it's gone up. That surplus has been generated partially because of interest, partially because of some items that were awarded to the county, and those items were not expended, so the money remained in the accommodations and hospitality tax accounts. So we have generated a surplus.
The reason I say that is I just want to be clear to any recipients of the funds that what happens this year may be different next year.
Oh, well, it could, depending upon, yes, sir.
Because, some people will depend on and so we do things maybe this year that may be different next year, and I just want to make that.
Yes, sir. We try to, particularly if we use that surplus for something else, if the county determines that they would prefer to use that surplus for something else, we certainly won't have a surplus going forward. And what we try to do is when we pay these, some of them, if it's a, say, Gopher Hill Festival, that festival happens usually in August. October, sorry. We give them the money in August, but we give that to them as a lump sum because their festival's right around the corner. But for someone else to, like, keep Jasper beautiful, we might give that out quarterly. So we try to, if we get the money in, we pay it out. We try to make sure that we have the money before we distribute it.
Thank you, Ms. Burgess.
Mr. Van Giesen?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to educate myself on this, so forgive me, but why would the construction loan payment originally Claudine Airport of $350,000 be in this?
Because that's a special revenue bond, and this was a place where tourists come in, fly into the airport, so it met the requirements of the uses. Mm-hmm. So that's the way, if you go back and look at the bond issuance ordinance for that, it very specifically states that the accommodations and hospitality tax will pay for that.
Right, okay. I can see why it's eligible. Okay. All right.
Mr. Orzillo? Oh, did I? No.
Yes. You already got me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mixed it up and I mixed myself up.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Mr. Powell?
I would imagine there were other requests in there, and I would assume that the folks that are on that committee work together to put things in and out and kind of.
So these particular funds are not reviewed by a committee. The state funds, state accommodations tax are reviewed by a committee.
Okay.
So these are reviewed by staff and with some consultation from an attorney who's very familiar with these local accommodations and hospitality tax to make sure that the uses that we identified were appropriate.
Okay.
How much of this, I guess I'm confused between local and state. I get confused. The ordinance says that if we produce, do we produce more of the tax than we get? Or do we get more from the state than we get from producing? Let's put it that way, the other way around. So if you, so we're $1.6 million, is that all generated by
That's all local.
us,
That's all, yes,
All-
sir. The county.
the
Yes, sir.
county? But in the state,
Is
do we
the-
get extra?
The state, yes, sir. It's generated, it's an additional tax that's paid to the state and then appropriated through the state to the counties.
I understand that, but do we generate all of it, or do we don't generate enough and the state gives us more?
Generally, it's all,
I believe there's a formula for counties who don't make a certain threshold,
Right.
that they receive more, but I do not believe we're in that.
no, we're not.
We're not in that, so we produced the $1.6 million.
We did.
The chamber asked for $32,000 for 2 concerts,
Yes, sir.
but
could
we
give
only
them-
gave 16.
We could, yes, sir. In reviewing the documentation, I think I made a note, well, you may not see it. I made a note that I would like to see more data on that being a tourist related, that generates tourism. I haven't, in the request, it didn't show that. Certainly you can change that and give them the 32,000. We have the funds, we have sufficient funds. But I wanted to make sure that it was for advertising and promotion related to the tourism, and more funds should be for marketing and promotion and facility maintenance before and after the concerts, which fell under use number 5. Again, I'd have to provide you with the codes so that you can see that. But there was a lot of, I was concerned, we were concerned, the people who reviewed it were concerned about some of the uses maybe didn't fall under that particular use. Some of the way the funds were being expended didn't fall under those particular uses. Like perhaps they paid for the performers or paid for alcoholic beverages that were being sold or something like that.
Right.
So there was some concern about that, and certainly we don't have a committee that could review that, and this was just basically looking at the application.
I'm going to go back to the Historical Society. If you go over there, this little room that they have is I think that's the historical museum. Do you realize that little room is charged $400 a month?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I do not know that, no, sir.
It's quite $400 a month. And we give the room to the chamber. I mean, this is that can't be all. Some of that's got to be the chamber. So
I'd love to address that. If you would like for me to, I would love to address it.
yes, I would like to address it.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Kendall Malford. I'm the Executive Director of the Jasper County Chamber of Commerce. And I think that we could clarify a lot of this if I sent you guys a letter today via email, and I'm not sure if you got that. But if you did not, I would love to just read you the letter because it clarifies not only the local accommodation tax, but as well as the state that comes up on item number 11 when we move down the agenda. As far as the Historical Society, it is more than one room. I'm not sure if you have been throughout the entire house, but it is several rooms as well as the hallways and the foyer and whatnot, where there is a lot of historical artifacts there. And whereas To some, it may be subpar, but to others, it is really a great exhibition as far as historical artifacts of Jasper County. So that would be somewhat a matter of opinion, because it is a nice museum, and I do think that the Historical Society has extensive plans to make it even better. So, but that being said, if you would allow me, I would go ahead and read you this letter, because it will not only address the questions you have now, but it will also address item number 11 coming up, and then I won't have to read it later. So with your permission.
No problem.
With that, okay. So, as you know, the facility at 403 Russell Street in Richland, South Carolina is owned by Jasper County. This facility houses the Jasper County Visitor Center, the Jasper County Chamber of Commerce, and the Jasper County Museum. The ATAX request in question, which is the one that's coming up on item number 11, was presented to you as a request for the Jasper County Museum, and that was presented incorrectly. It was submitted and reviewed by the ATAX committee as a request for the Jasper County Visitor Center / Chamber of Commerce. This request is made to support a portion of wages for the employee who oversees the Visitor Center. The majority of this salary is paid for by the Chamber, and this request is a supplement to make the wages where they need to be for that person in the position, since they oversee the Visitor Center as well. Therefore, we are re-asking for your approval based on the correct information. Per the State of South Carolina Department of Revenue, ruling number 98-22 for use of accommodations tax funds, operations of Visitor Information Center is listed as one of 8 tourism-related expenditures that qualify. Therefore, this request is in complete compliance with the ATAX laws set forth by the state. The need for a visitor center is tremendous to any area, especially for Jasper County with the close proximity to I-95, having 7 exits, 4 of those being extremely strong stopping points for travelers. We are strategically placed on a high pass-through traffic corridor, which allows us to capture economic potential with every traveler. The Visitor Center has the potential to convert these passersby into engaged visitors, increasing direct spend and length of stay. This facility calculates the following in visitors: foot traffic, 200 per month or 2,400 per year. Phone inquiries, 400 per month for a total of 4,800 per year. Web engagement, 3,000 per month for a total of 36,000 per year, with a total annual visitors of 43,200 per year. If just 5% convert to lodging, that is 2,160 bookings at an average cost of $150 per night for a one-night stay, which equals approximately $24,000 in lodging revenue. The approximate food/retail revenue is $216,000. So total visitor spending could possibly equal $540,000. That translates to the Visitor Center supporting over $500,000 in annual tourism-driven spending. And that is just on the visitor side of what we do. I would also like to point out here at this point that 100% of everything we do out of that facility is for the good of Jasper County, whether that be for the businesses, for marketing, for tourism, for history, etc. Our job is to make sure Jasper County is on the map, so to speak. Most citizens do not realize all the many other things that take place through us. And just to name a few, if you see billboards for Hardeeville, Richland, or Jasper County, that is us. If you hear radio spots for Hardeeville, Richland, or Jasper County, including events such as Hardeeville Festival on Main, Gopher Hill, the Holiday Festival of Lights, etc., that is us. If any digital ads pop up on your phone or social media or web pages advertising the same above, that is us. If you see any print media ads in publications such as the Low Country Guidebook, the South Carolina Living Magazine, the Southeast USA Today Travel Guide, the Atlanta Braves official program, the USA Today National Parks program, and the USA Today Hunt and Fish Guide. That is us. We support local business by always giving referrals to the local businesses, whether it be retail services, food, convenience, etc. We also establish and support Shop Local campaigns. We offer groundbreakings, ribbon cuttings, business after hours, coffee with colleagues, lunch and learn seminars, etc. for business exposure and networking. In addition, the businesses are listed in our resource guide distributed throughout South Carolina at all the welcome centers. The businesses are also listed on our website with links to their own websites, and we promote through social media as well as with special spotlights of businesses. I could go on and on about all we do. However, in conclusion, based on the information provided above, I ask that you reconsider your decision to approve this ATAX request. I would also end by pointing out that for the state, the item number 11 coming up, that it did go before an ATAX committee of 6 members that you guys appointed, and that they unanimously approved to recommend this request to you. So I thank you in advance for your consideration, and I will be glad to answer any questions you may have.
How much of the 30% do you get? You get 30% of it.
It depends upon what the state, we do get 30%,
This is 30% on top of this, correct?
correct.
And how
That
much-
is because we serve as the DMO, which is the designated marketing organization for Jasper County. We serve as the DMO for Jasper County as well as the city of Hardyville and as well as the town of Richmond. So the 30% that comes directly from the state, yes, comes to whoever the DMO is. It would have to go to whoever that is, and it happens to be the chamber.
How much is your electric bill?
Our electric bill, it runs on an average $400 a month, maybe a little more. That's a very old facility, and there's not much insulation, and the windows are from day one, so it can get rather high at times.
So what does the chamber pay?
Well, if you're looking at the request that you have in front of you, the reason I put all of that in the request is because we also keep the museum open for the Jasper County Historical Society on a daily basis from 9 to 5, and we get nothing in return from the Historical Society. They have their own membership and their own funds and whatnot. However, we get none of that. So to supplement what we do as well, again, 100% of everything out of that facility is for the good of Jasper County. So to help supplement what we do for the Historical Society, that is the request that you see in front of you. And as far as the security goes, we probably would not have a security system even in place were it not for the museum being there.
So we can just say museum can go?
Pardon me?
You mean that museum is the whole building?
It is the vast majority of the building. The upstairs is more storage, but half of it is for the Historical Society, and then the other portion is for brochures and maps and resource guides and storage for both the visitor center and the chamber.
Is that air conditioned up there?
Pardon me?
Is that air conditioned up there?
It is, but it's not working, really well, and we have the county coming to look at that. But yes, it is air conditioned out there. It just has to be repaired.
Okay, that's all I have for this.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions that you? Please fire them at me. I'm
Mr.
here.
Rosillo.
Sturgis,
Yes, sir.
ATAC money, is there any stipulation on paying salaries out of ATAC money? Okay.
It just says to run it basically says to run a visitor center.
It is for
or-
operations of the visitor center.
Well,
That's
I
the
mean,
state. That's the
the
state.
funds themselves, there's
No, sir.
nothing that says you cannot.
No, sir.
Okay.
And I did want to point out in the resolution that the State Accommodations Advisory Committee recommended that they would like any recipients of either state aid tax funds to indicate on their promotional material that it be acknowledged Jasper County as one of the funders of that particular event or organization. And we have included that requirement in this resolution as well for anyone who receives the local accommodations or hospitality tax. And this resolution actually refers back to that first resolution that you passed in Hardyville for the state funds, and incorporates that requirement, or has that requirement for those funds as well in this resolution, because we had failed to include it in the resolution that you passed in Hardyville. I believe it was the second.
Okay, that's all I have for Mr. Albert.
I do apologize, I did not get a chance to read that email. I checked my emails earlier today and I was unable to access my email.
That's okay, because
Oh, okay.
That's okay, because not having been able to actually personally reach you, I've sent it at a late notice. So that's why I really wanted to read it to you guys, to make sure that you understood where I was coming from.
And just so I'm clear on that, what exactly, this is for the funding of the Historical Society, is it?
There's quite a few on the
There's
list.
quite a few on the list of historical.
That is
societies.
Or what you were, how we come to this point in the conversation?
Well, there's one request for the Historical Society. There's one request that is for actually all three, the Historical Society, the Chamber, and the Visitor Center, which is the grounds maintenance. And then the other two was the concert series and the billboard. And then coming up in item number 11 is the state one that you guys had been presented at the last meeting, but it was not presented correctly. So that's why it was put back on the agenda, so we could present it correctly to you.
Was that the 20,000?
That was the 20,000, yes.
And that's for item number 11?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
But I figured I'd just knock it all out at one fell swoop here.
I have no other further questions about it. Was one other question about it, which is not
Me?
the chamber. Yes.
Yes, sir.
And I guess it's just a wording, I guess. On, you have 30, on exit 33, Jasper County exit 33, $200,000.
Yes, sir.
But and it's for exit 33.
Yes, sir.
But then you go to the budget, and the budget says, has that show up, that $200,000.
It says
But it says for exit 3 or other things, or other, I don't know the correct wording, but.
In the explanation?
Yeah, the explanation has other things, and I don't know how, are we,
So I think, well, I don't know which one came first as far as presenting this to you or putting that explanation in there. But I know there's been a couple of things, small items that have come up in just recent days that the county might use some of these funds for that are not exit 33. So we
Okay,
could
can we do
revise
that?
that.
Can we do that?
If they're tourist related, yes, sir. If
But
I
no,
took that
we're-
exit
we're-
33 out,
But we're authorizing $200,000 for exit 33.
yes, sir, that's specifically for exit 33, or we could strike that and just say improvements, county improvements for tourism. But they are specifically and have been specifically earmarked for exit 33 for monuments.
That's what I'm trying to say, is here we are, go again, we're putting money out, and then we're gonna go someplace else.
I can certainly revise the definite, or the explanation in the budget, that's just as we're moving through.
Mr. Kemp, if I might, as long as you haven't given the money out, you can amend this as you get past to the capital. You can take, I won't say clawback, that's not the right word, but you can amend this resolution if you find that you want to fund it in a different way or use those things. That's one of the reasons why we have that other ordinance pending out there after June 30th where we can make adjustments. So you have a little bit of flexibility for those that you're not spending out. If you give the money out, you can't get it back that easy, but if you haven't given it out yet, you've got a little bit of wiggle room as you adjust things out.
And we don't issue, say for that item, the 200,000, that money doesn't go into the operating budget unless it's expended. That's part of why we have a $1.5 million
And that 200,000 is not included in this resolution?
It is, it's in
Where
the
is
bottom, it's on the top of page 3.
Improvements to exit 33.
Yes, sir.
See, this is, it's
It
getting
gets paid to,
complicated.
it gets
Because you're putting
reimbursed to the county,
You're putting $200,000 in there,
for the
right?
county.
That's specific for something, but it's in general. How does that show up does that show up someplace?
It shows up in Department 74.
74?
Yes, sir. It shows up as revenue in Department 74, and then it shows up as, we had an account called special projects, and the intent is those two offset. The expenditures in special projects for these particular items would show up there, and then the revenue would be basically transferred from here to Department 74.
Now, quick question as it pertains to A-tax, and I don't want to beat this to death tonight, but if, say we took something out, can you come back mid-year and request something? Because if the 200 is there, it's just a whatever, could you come back and do that, or does it have to be a part of the budget approval, or how? I know it's...
It'd really be both. You would amend the resolution. This one in specific is for a county project, so.
What is the county project again?
It is
Exit
for
33 lights.
proposed improvements.
Improvements.
It can be lighting, it can be the bush hogging we've done over there.
Landscaping, I think it was landscaping.
And from time to time, Mr. Lucas has had to do that, but we've had years where we have plugged it in and have not done that. So you have complete flexibility over that. You're basically earmarking that amount of money for a county project of some sort. If you get into your capital planning after you adopt your budget and you decide that you feel better about spending that money on a boat landing repair project, you can certainly amend it at that time.
And we have to approve that money before it's spent?
Yes, sir.
Just because it's earmarked doesn't mean it's able to be allocated?
No, sir. And I'll tell you, even if it's earmarked for exit 33, we haven't done work at exit 33 for quite some time, but we would still bring a project to you for approval if you approve the funding.
Is this the Ridgeland exit that we were talking
No,
about?
sir. This is very
Was there a Ridgeland exit that we were, and then all of a sudden the widening came about?
Well, that's the yes, sir, that's the transportation sales tax from 2016.
Right.
It's transportation
That
sales
is supposed, okay, that's the wrong one.
That's
Okay.
different, yes, different funding.
One last thing.
What?
I'm going to ask one more question.
Go right ahead.
So I just want to understand this. So basically, it looks like we've got this is asking for the Chamber of Commerce 31,000 in this, and then we're going to on number 11. We're asking for that 20 also, so it'll be 51 total.
It's the
Somewhere
different
there.
funds, it's the local, some of it was the local, and then the number 11 was the state that you
Okay.
guys addressed at the last council.
Right,
All right,
they are
that makes
different
sense.
from
Okay,
different
thank
fund
you. I
sources.
appreciate it.
Do I have another comment? Okay. I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Chairman, if I might have a point of clarification or motion to go back to the beginning, will the motion include adding Exhibit A? Would you make the motion to include Exhibit A, which is qualifying rationalization for each of the
Do we need that?
Yes, sir. Well,
Can we see Exhibit A before we?
Then we'll just postpone
It's
it.
the eight,
It's the same thing.
Statutory allowed
uses.
uses.
So it was recommended that we include this, which was
Hadn't done it
after
years
this had
past,
been
but
sent to
counsel-
you.
A lawyer, Mr. Flynn said, a best practice would be to include that.
So that
It's just- it's your
if there was
justification.
ever any,
It's kind of like a footnote on each one.
It's just the statutory language to ensure that you can show the public that what you're approving is in accordance with state law.
Could we,
And it's the
because we're
same
just
thing.
receiving this tonight?
it's the
is-
same thing.
Could we,
Excuse me.
if this got deferred to one of our next meetings coming up, would that hurt things to go concurrent with?
I can't answer that because I don't know if anybody's standing out there with their hands out waiting for a check next week or not.
There might be several people who are, our next meeting, if it's June 30th, maybe, but I know a lot of people are, make their budgets based on what they receive. Again, it's similar to the state. And some of these particular concerts or things are happening, or festivals are happening relatively soon after this approval. So this Exhibit A is essentially is the list that you have with, included in is our estimate of what we anticipate to receive, what our surplus is, what the purpose is, and then the findings of fact, which means what is the use? What use is allowed that allows us to provide this?
Why didn't we get this first?
Because generally we have a resolution, it's right here. I had a conversation with the attorney after you received this, because of the deadlines that we have to get this information to you.
It just seems like the back's always up against the wall with the deadline, and we have to make a decision on it.
It's the same,
You
it's
can
the
you
same
can defer if
list.
you like, and then just bring it up on June 30th. We don't have a confirmation of the June 30th meeting, but we're going to do that a little bit later.
Okay. I'm sure we'll probably have the June 30th meeting, so I make a motion that we pull this to the next next special call council meeting.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Is there any comment from Ethan, Mr. Arzillo, Ralph? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve, disapprove, or amend, raise their right hand. We have a motion to table the motion, table to the next meeting. All those in favor say aye and raise their right hand. Aye. All against? Hearing none, motion has passed.
One question while we're here, just for my information. This is a list of all the requests.
Yes, sir. It's everything it's the exact list that's in the resolution. With a little additional information.
Wouldn't, just another thing is, wouldn't, let's see.
Sir?
Didn't we already do that? This whole thing right here? Didn't you give us that range?
Yes, sir, I did.
Wouldn't that suffice?
Well, it didn't have, this is what I gave you at the last meeting, so you've had this. Yes, sir, you're right. I didn't have that which use applied to the funds, and as I said, I was told that would be just, you know, a good thing to do for future reference, and so that's why I included that on the list. But yes, sir, we gave you this package 2 weeks ago. I can't
Right, 2
remember.
weeks, I think.
About 2 weeks ago. Yes, sir.
It's great reading, by the way.
And it's pretty quick too.
Yeah. Okay, that has been number 9. Consideration of resolution R-2025-40, a resolution approving a settlement agreement relating to the distribution of park revenue generated by the joint county industrial and business park developed by Jasper County and Beaufort County, persuading to an agreement dated of December 31st, 1999, as amended, authorizing the execution of the settlement agreement and other related items. Mr. Foley.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is proposing to resolve a lawsuit, approve a settlement agreement on the county council's behalf, a lawsuit that's been going on for several years concerning the Nickel Plate Multi-County Industrial Park and the distribution of the fees associated with that park. As you know, it's a successful conclusion through the court system, and this settlement agreement involves several different parties. It involves Beaufort County, Jasper County, Nickel Plate Road LLC, which is the bond holder, and the city of Hardyville and county council. On our side, it involves the auditor, treasurer, clerk of court, who held the funds in escrow during the dispute period. And we're happy to say we've been able to work that through so that all parties have agreed to the numbers. Just a quick review for you of those funds that were held in escrow. To Beaufort County, $16,319 will be distributed. To Nickel Plate, $846,235.85. To the city of Hardyville, $548, and to Jasper County, the most current number, depending on interest held in the bank and so forth, is $254,234.59. So everyone has agreed to the numbers, which was a Herculean task, and so we're asking you humbly this evening to consider adopting a resolution so that we can settle this agreement for all those parties and move forward with the correct distribution going forward.
Mr. Van Giesen.
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Arzello.
No, sir.
Mr. Rowell.
And once this resolution is considered, that ends everything with that? That whole thing is over?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We have a lot of signatures to collect, but yes, sir, that's the official action that will end it. Well, I failed to mention the city of Hardyville approved it on June the 5th.
Hearing finished. I have no comment. I'm sorry. Hey, this is the same resolution, except it's just matching resolutions, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So, anyway, I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend.
Make a motion to consider approval.
Second?
I'll second.
Any comment? All those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All against? Hearing none, motion has passed. Let's see. Consideration, Mr. Fulgham, consideration of resolution 2025-41, a resolution directing county administrator to submit the Ridgeland Quad Beam runway length justification study to the Federal Aviation Administration for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, you have a resolution before you that I drafted that acknowledges that you have the study completed on the runway length justification study, which we distributed to you. That study was completed by Holt Consulting, the county's consulting firm. Previous council investigated it and approved it back in 2023. The work authorization was worked up in 23 and 2024. The South Carolina Department of Commerce offered to defray some of the costs of the study, $160,000 of it through a grant. And then we have a private group, Congaree Golf Partners LLC, also committed $80,000. The total cost of the study being $240,886. I'm sorry, $240,806. That was commissioned in 2024 in January and completed in March 2025. You had the benefit of having a public presentation on the study, April 7th, 2025. This resolution acknowledges that in order for the study to be evaluated by the FAA, the county must officially submit it to the FAA. There is no financial obligation on the county's part to submit this, and so the resolution proposes to direct the county administrator to submit the study to the FAA for review and consideration, and also provide to you and the Airport Commission the results of the FAA's response. Be happy to answer any questions that you have, asking for your consideration of adopting a resolution this evening which would authorize the submittal of the study to the FAA for review.
Mr. Orzillo.
Yes.
Mr. Van Giesen.
No, as long as it's not costing the taxpayers a dime, I have any questions.
Mr. Rowell.
Just with this tonight, this just goes to the FAA, just for them to review. This doesn't obligate us in anything except to be the recipient of that when it comes back. Whatever their decision to move forward with would be a decision we have to make at this body moving forward.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So we're not entering any type of decision. This is just to cover what was presented and done before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend?
Sure, no. I'll make the motion for the resolution R-2025-41, directing the county administrator to submit the lengthening project to federal aviation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any comment? Mr. Van Giesen?
No comment.
Mr. Barzillo?
None.
Mr. Rao?
No comment.
Mr. Kent? I disagree with this wholeheartedly. I hope our council has read this program or study. Most of the people that are from Houston, Texas, that are agreeing to it. We had a hard, I think, I'm not even going to go any farther. I voiced my displeasure at the presentation, and we'll go from there. So, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? And I abstain.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, but I failed to mention that the Airport Commission also had a chance to review this and recommended moving forward on June the 11th.
Thank you.
Ms. Burgess, consideration of resolution R-2025-42, a resolution approving the state accommodations tax advisory recommendations and authorizing the award of funds for state accommodations tax request.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of council, we're bringing this back to you. This was the $20,000 that was presented as being for the Historical Society, and it's actually for the visitor center, maintaining the visitor center at the Chamber of Commerce. So we're bringing this back for your reconsideration for the $20,000.
Mr. Orzillo.
Well, I was just saying before, the Chamber of Commerce has a DMO, but when you think about, advertising Jasper County, I mean, that's what I think about, the Chamber of Commerce. And I know there's some problems here, so I'd like to hear any reason why we wouldn't, because there might be good reasons, but change my mind.
Mr. Van Giesen.
And this is the part that comes from the state, right?
Yes, this was actually approved by the State Accommodations Advisory Tax Committee, and it was stricken from the resolution at the June 2nd meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rao.
And just for clarification, this is for the visitor center, not the...
Yes, sir, it's for operations of the visitor center, which in that visitor center does have the historical. I think that's where the confusion was when we brought it before you before. So, but it's for the operation of the visitor center.
Okay.
I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise their right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah. Hearing none, approved. Ms. Burgess, here we go.
Yes, sir. This.
Oh, wait,
is-
I'll have to read it.
Oh, you have to read it.
I have to
Okay.
read it.
My apologies.
Public hearing and consideration of third reading of ordinance 2025-13 of the Jasper County amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 Jasper County budget as originally adopted June 3rd, 2024 by ordinance 0-2024-13 as amended in accordance with the local government code of the state of South Carolina and the ordinances rules of the county of Jasper County, South Carolina, where the, I lost my space, total amount appropriated is increased by $2,047,141 to a grand total of $65,529,893.81 with revenue of $65,529,893.81, appropriating the various amounts thereof and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflicts therewith, and providing an effective date. Did I make a mistake?
No, sir. Apparently, the title is incorrect with the amount, the grand total amount. The grand total amount in the actual ordinance is $62,409,494. I believe this was a prior title and it's been revised. So the actual amount, the increase is correct at $2,047,141, but the grand total of the revenues and the expenditures is $62,409,494.
Wait, 409?
$62,409,494.
494.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Van Giesen.
And
So the
this is a
62
public
is what it
hearing.
is.
I'm sorry?
And you're adding, the 62 is what it was, we're adding the two.
No, we're going down, right?
So from that 65, yes, sir.
But that's
we're going
just-
down.
Okay. No, I don't have any questions, that's fine.
Mr. Ozilla?
Mr. Rob? No questions.
Okay, I would like to have a motion to approve,
We have a
disapprove.
public hearing.
Oh,
Public-
excuse me, public hearing. Sorry about that,
That's okay.
getting late. Anyway, I'd like to open up the public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to talk about this? Going once? Twice? I close the public hearing. I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend. I will amend the ordinance to reflect the grand total of $62,409,494.
Yes, sir. Well, the ordinance actually has that, is the title in the agenda.
Yes,
that's
your actual
incorrect.
written ordinance has the correct number in it. It was just printing in the agenda, picked up the wrong number.
So how do we change that?
You just amended the reading of the title. The title,
Okay.
everyone has seen the right number in the actual ordinance. It was part of the package. It was just the agenda has an error in it, in reciting the 65 instead of the 62 million.
I amend the description to read $62,409,494. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye. Okay. Ms. Burgess again, public hearing and consideration of the second reading of ordinance O-205-14 to provide the levy of tax for public purposes in Jasper County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, and to make appropriations for said purposes, to adopt and approve the Jasper County capital and operations budget for fiscal year 2025-2026, to adopt and approve the Jasper County School District capital and operations budget for fiscal year 2025-2026, to approve for the levy of taxation for fiscal year 2025-26, to limit the disbursements by the county treasurer to those appropriated by law, to provide the expenditures not to exceed appropriations, to authorize tax anticipation notes, to make authorization of certain transfers, to provide for additional appropriation and borrowing, to codify Jasper County rates and fees, to provide for lapsing funds and continuing appropriations for subsequent years, to require certain agencies and departments to file countings, to require the treasurer to sign general fund, to provide compliance with Act Number 317 of 1990, to provide certain benefits to council members, to provide for county commission and committee stipends, to provide for jury duty mileage, to adopt property values, and to provide for effective date for this ordinance and matters thereto. Ms. Burgess.
Thank you, sir. This is the second reading of the budget, fiscal year 2026 operating budget. We currently have total revenue and total expenditures of $66,324,415. Sorry, let me try that again. $66,324,415. We also have a county debt tax levy totaling $1,587,500 for a county grand total of $67,911,915. Millage rates. We've included in this the school revenues and the appropriations, both operations and debt. The county operating millage in this budget is 145. The county debt is 5. That's a total of 150, which remains the same total as fiscal year 2025. School operating is 166. The school debt is 25. And the total of all of that is 341, and Cherry Point Fire District millage is 31. So there's other provisions. I don't know if you want me to go through those, but certainly I can address any questions, and we have a public hearing for this as well.
I'm going to open the ordinance 2025-14 to public hearing. No one has signed up, but I'll open it up. Does anybody would like to talk? Once, talk. Anybody would like to talk? Twice? Just to let you know, this was a second hearing. This is the official hearing, but we did have a hearing in Hardyville with no comments. Hearing none, the public hearing has closed. I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend.
Discussion first.
Oh, do we have a discussion? I thought we did. I'm sorry. Trying to rush this. Mr. Van Giesen.
Can't we ever start at the other end? I'm good.
No, I go by.
That's all right. I know it's the second reading, so.
You see what happens when I try to mix it up.
Yeah. There's a dude sitting to your right.
Oh, he can't. He's just.
But I'm just saying. So anyway, I'm not joking around. So.
You started.
Yeah, we'll end up. I'm gonna go ahead. I will vote for this because it's the second reading, but obviously we have things to work out because we're getting into crunch time. Like I said, I'm going to reiterate that I hope that we get department heads together and just see what we can do. Honest to God, see how we can make it better, be more proficient. That's what I'm asking for.
Mr. Brazillo.
Yeah, and I don't know where we're at in this whole process, because at some point, I want to say something like, when we have these projects that come up, when people talk about Coosahatchee, when we talk about where we're going to get the funding, I'm still not have my mind wrapped around on how we move forward on those projects. So in the back of my head, I say, well, we got to get it from somewhere. And I know we've done a lot of talking about it, but at the end of the day, are we able to pull from some things, get some people? Was there anything that we were able to save money here or there for us as a council to facilitate our wish list that we talked about, which would be after the budget?
Yes, sir. This is the operations budget. There is a plan to move forward after we get this approved for the capital budget. The Coosahatchee Fire Station, I believe that's what you're talking about.
Yes, things like that.
Well, the rec center.
Rec center.
Well, the rec center too. Both of those would be included in that capital plan. And then we would determine where the funding from that would come. Whether that would come from, for instance, an RDA loan or a bond issuance or if we have fund balance. When we get to that point, we would
and we talked about it a lot, and I'm just wondering, at what point will we see where we might have made some cuts so that we would have money for those types of things?
Well, we're talking about, we have a budget workshop on the 23rd.
Yep.
So we based on some of your questions that you've already sent to us, and which I'll hand out to you tonight after this meeting, so that you'll have those, what we're looking at, various, we'll give you some options with those, and show you where the reductions are at this point. We've already taken $1 million out for the sheriff, and there's been a few other changes too, for new personnel for the sheriff. I will mention that there's an addition to that in what I'm going to give you after this, that we plan to talk about on the 23rd. So that, I think that's where all of this will come together. So.
And Ms. Burgess, I love the word reduction. Much better than cut. And if you say it with a smile on your face, we could probably do a lot of good, couldn't we, Mr. Folger?
I'm all for a reduction with a smile on the face, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rowell?
Just a couple things. School board, they won't have their third reading until the 23rd, correct?
That's correct.
And so that kind of plays in with how we're doing things here.
Yes, sir.
And I assume that you're going to give us some stuff that were some of the requests we made at our last workshop with discretionary fund.
Yes, sir. I'll give that to you
Deputy county
tonight.
administrator and things along those ways.
Yes, sir.
I do know that we need to move this forward and to go with it, but I will tell you that third reading, this thing needs to be rock solid, because I will not vote for a third reading if it's not.
Well, that's what the 23rd is for, to make it rock solid.
Mr. Chairman, also you mentioned the school district. Are we solid with the 25th of the school district?
That's 25th is, no, 23rd, I think is.
The 23rd is when they have
25th,
their
right, the
final
25th.
reading,
The
and then the
25th is going to be
25th
school district.
is when we set that up.
Yeah, 25th, we floated some possible times last time. The 25th at 4 o'clock for school district, and you were going to ask about their financial advisour.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The 23rd is all you, and that's the one we plan that's where we're really going to resolve all these items for you. But we have absorbed everything that you've given us thus far. We have accounted for it, and we've given you several options about how to get there.
And I look forward to seeing that later.
On the 23rd, we had that as a 10 a.m. Meeting as usual. And then we have a proposed special county council meeting on the 30th. And that would be for a number of things now. It would be for the final reading. It would be we'll also need to do a resolution that approves the any new positions and classifications for those positions. That will go hand in hand with the budget ordinance. We know now that we'll also have to do the local ATAX resolution, bring that back to you. And then the final one that Mr. Tedder thought would be a good idea is we would propose that you have first reading on the animal shelter lease, so that you would at least have that started by the fiscal year. So that's what we're looking at for the 30th. And we had a proposed start time of 5 p.m., I think is what you discussed. Just wanted to know if that would still work for you.
What date was that?
That was the 30th. It's the final Monday of the month for adoption. And I can just pass this out. We can confirm this tomorrow. Here's the latest list, Mr. Benitez. Mr. Kemp, perhaps you want to just take a look at this and we'll verify this tomorrow. I think we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
But anyway, okay. So where were we at? I guess you talk, right?
Yeah, I'm finished with my comments. Your turn.
Everything's been said. I would wait till the 23rd. We have our questions and all that. One thing I have is, when I did my questions, you had noted. What is that? You had noted on there.
I think I only did it, there was no, I think one about the invitations, not receiving invitations. I just put noted. I didn't know that had anything to do with the budget per se. So if it didn't have a reduction or anything, I just put noted.
Okay.
I didn't want to just ignore it or leave it blank.
I just didn't understand. Do I have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2025-14.
Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing none, any comment? Mr. Van Giesen? Mr. Arzillo?
None.
Mr. O'Reilly?
Just want to make sure that if this goes through tonight, we have everything solidified for the 30th, because we want to make sure that we get it right.
Hearing none, having all the comments, I'd like to have a motion. Oh, we did that, okay. All those in favor, raise their right hand and vote. Yes. All those against? Hearing none, the motion is passed. The next reading will be the 30th. Ms. Burgess, consideration of third reading of ordinance 2025-15 to provide for the issuance of a sale of not exceeding $6,200,000 aggregate principal amount for general obligation bonds of Jasper County, South Carolina, in one or more series, to prescribe the purpose for which the proceeds shall be expended, provide for the payment thereof, and to provide for to other matters related thereto. Ms. Burgess.
Yes, sir, thank you. This, as you read, is a public hearing and the third reading of the ordinance for the bond issuance that we had mentioned previously. Bond issuance is not to exceed $6,200,000, a portion of which will be used to pay off the Series 2014 installment special revenue bond, installment purchase special revenue bond that we have, and the remainder of which will be can be used for capital projects, which is approximately just shy of $5 million will be remaining from that. So this is basically the final reading to approve that.
Mr. Arzillo.
No.
Mr. Van Giesen.
No, I think we've beat this one to death.
Mr. Rowell. Hearing none more, no more. I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend.
Make a motion for consideration of third.
Excuse me. It's public hearing.
Yes, sir, it is. You're right. Sorry.
I didn't do it quick. I'd like to have a public hearing. They opened it up. No one signed up. Do I have anyone? Once. Twice. Hearing none. Hearing nobody. Public hearing is closed. Now, do I have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend?
Make a motion for approval of third reading of ordinance 2025-15.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comment? Hearing none. All those in favor, raise their right hand and vote aye. Aye. All against? Hearing none. Passed. Consideration to authorize the county administrator to execute annual renewal contracts greater than $25,000 included in the fiscal year 2026 budget.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There are three contracts that we bring before you tonight. They have July 1 renewal dates. The first one is the public, it's called public software. That is the data processing for the tax processing and software maintenance for the treasurer, the auditor, the assessor, and the tax collector. That amount is $348,000, and I have noted in the resolution, or in this, in this presentation, that the account number for which that is located, which is 010-052-2510. There's Summit Food Service, which is for the detention center. It's the food service for the inmate population. It also renews on July 1. That amount is $470,000, and there is a note, I believe, in the budget, in our fiscal year 26 budget, that this amount will need to go up in our budget line item after receiving this contract and evaluating it because of the number of meals that they serve and the number of inmates. It actually increased more than we had anticipated in the first reading of the budget. So that amount will be $470, and that account number is 010-058-2700. And then we have Southern Health Partners, which also is the detention center, and that is health care for the inmate population. Again, it renews on July 1, and it is $365,100. And it's also based on the number of inmates that we have. So it may fluctuate a bit, and that account number is 010-058-2710. So we would ask that you allow the county administrator to sign those contracts as we approach the July 1 renewal date so that we can move forward.
Mr. Van Giesel.
Where does those numbers come from? 348,000 to 470 to 365? Just curious.
They're here. There's a contract in this presentation.
Yeah, I see,
Each of them have the contract.
Out of those numbers, who sets those?
So we had to meet particularly for public, the assessor, the treasurer, the auditor, and the tax collector, and I met with the representative from public. We reviewed the contract. There were some changes, you know, make this digital, we don't want paper, etc. So there were some revisions. That's how we came up with this particular dollar amount for that contract. The others are basically addendums to the current contract, and it's based on say for the Summit Food, it's based on a per meal, whether it's a breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and the number of inmates that are served. So each one of those, and then the health contract is in there as well. And last year, I cannot remember exactly when, the council approved an additional for some psychiatric referral type, and not necessarily on site, but to have some psychiatric referrals for inmates included in the contract. So that was a part, I believe that's a part of the budget amendment too, that we already brought before you tonight.
Okay, and this is just for the jail?
2 are for the jail, and then 1 is for, that runs the tax collection.
Computer services agreement.
That's our auditor, like I said, auditor, assessor,
Okay.
treasurer, and tax collector.
Okay, thank you.
George Zillow.
Yes, I'm good.
Ralph.
No questions?
Just one question. It's just, we're not authorizing the administrator to do every contract over. It's just those specifics.
Those 3, yes, sir. And if there's any that are greater than 25,000, we bring those back to you.
Right, it's just for those.
It's for the 3 listed in this.
It's just the way it was set up here. If you look at it, it says authorizing to renewal contract greater than for the fiscal year 2026. That's all.
Not a request, nor do I want that.
So, do I have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend?
Make a motion to approve the authorizing the administrator to execute the 3 contracts that we just went over.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All against? Hearing none, the motion has passed. Ms. Burgess, number 16, consideration acceptance of the fiscal year 2025 annual financial audit engagement agreement between Thomas Price Cott Adams and Company, PA, and Jasper County, and to authorize the county administrator to execute the agreement. Ms. Burgess.
Yes, sir, thank you. This is the engagement, what we call an engagement agreement for the annual financial audit. Thompson Price. Okay,
Okay,
time,
we
yeah,
got it. We got
the
it.
firm, Thompson Price, Scott and Adams and Company, were our auditors. They were new, but they were auditors last year. And this is the second year of the proposal terms. It had two additional two-year contract, had an additional two-year contract extension, so this would be the first of those contract extensions. And the fees are all-inclusive fee not to exceed $65,000, which is what they had last year, which was the audit fee last year.
Mr. Van Giesen?
That was gonna be my question. Is that what we paid last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Orzillo?
You good, sir?
Mr. Rao?
No questions.
Well, we have this engagement letter, or engagement, right? If we want to change it, can we still change it?
Yes, sir. You can make changes to it. I can send it back to them and see if they'll accept the revisions.
Mr. Chairman, one thing that we had talked about, we were going to get I think a separate proposal was for the separate audit for the transportation sales tax. We thought that would be appropriate. I'd like to go ahead and do that and bring that back to you separately.
I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend. Let's see, the consideration of an acceptance of fiscal year annual financial audit.
And did we have this as for the county administrator? I believe we may have had Mr. Fulton to execute the agreement, but I want to make sure we have that.
It's in the title.
Okay, I just want to make sure I
And
mention that as
to
well.
authorize the county administrator to execute the agreement.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to author, the county administrator to author and execute the agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comment? No hearing, no comment. All those in favor, vote aye and raise their hand.
Aye.
All against? Motion is passed. Mr. Tedder. Public hearing, consideration of second reading of ordinance 2025-17, authorizing the sale of Elite Marble Holdings LLC of a 2.79 acre parcel, more or less being subdivided out of the original 25.52 acre parcel identified as parcel D as shown on the plat recorded at plat book 27 at page 80. Being a portion of tax parcel 04800010007, and to authorize the Jasper County Administrator to execute such contracts, amendments, deeds, and other documents as may be necessary or appropriate to effect the sale to Elite Marble Holdings, or its assigns, and matters related thereto.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, thank you so much. We went over this at our last meeting. This is a piece of property that Elite Marble wants to build a new shop on. If you're out of the Cypress Ridge going in with the main entrance with Tyco on your right, and they're building on the left. This is catty corner right there off the cul-de-sac, 2.79, purchase price is $42,000. They've agreed to make an investment and create jobs there. No changes since your last reading, so unless you have some questions for me, I'll let it go with that and let the public speak.
Mr. Van Giesen? Public hearing, sorry. I got a big letters here too. I'd like to open the public hearing. Do I have anybody that would like to speak about Elite Marble? Going once? Going, yes. State your name and your address, please.
G. Ciccarelli, Sun City, Heathwood Drive. I was just curious about that. I'm not that sure about what this lead model company is all about. Did that go through the planning commission, or is it would it be purposely used for that use for whenever, or can they sell that off, or I'm not really sure how what kind of constraints are on, and was there public review on that as a possible impact on the public?
You want me to address that?
You can address it.
I can sit down.
Yeah. In these particular types of transactions, we use Southern Carolina Alliance, which is our economic development partner. The book here is one of the people that we use to recruit and maintain our relationships. This came through him. The Southern Carolina Alliance vetted them. The purchaser, in order to obtain this property at the price that it had to guarantee a $2.5 million investment in building out there, and to create 10 jobs over a 5-year period, which is usually the investment period that's allowed for under the state statute that provides for these types of economic arrangements. If he does not perform both of those factors, there's what we call a clawback in, and he has to pay the more close to the fair market value of the property.
Was there impacts on this, the community weigh in on the impacts of this? I don't know where it is. Is it located in a residential?
You can, after the meeting, you can.
Yeah.
This is just a public hearing.
This is the second reading of this one.
Right.
Dave, may I?
Sir.
So the,
Are you want to close the public hearing before you
I'm
start
going
asking
to-
questions?
yes, I'm sorry.
Going 3 times. I'm going to be closing the hearing. Now I have it open to discussion. Mr. Orzillo.
So Dave, to be clear, this is in the Cypress Ridge Industrial Park, and the reason for that industrial park is to kind of create jobs and bring economic development into
Yeah.
Jasper County, and so that
In the
would-
grand scheme of thing, the property, most of it was given to us at a reduced price.
So it's a very reduced price.
Yes,
yeah,
for
and,
that specific purpose.
it is the only county-owned industrial park that we have, and it does have a design review committee, and Mr. Van Giesen is the representative for council on that committee.
Mr. Van Giesen.
No questions.
Wow.
No questions.
Hearing none, I'd like to have a motion to approve, disapprove, or amend.
Make a motion to approve the second reading of O-2025-17.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comment? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All against? The motion has passed. Mr. Tedder, public hearing, consideration of third reading of ordinance O-2025-10, an ordinance authorizing the sale of to 719 Holding LLC of a 2.158 acre parcel, more or less, being subdivided out of the original 19.09 acre parcel, identifying as parcel B, as shown on plat recorded at Plat Book 27-8, being a portion of tax parcel 04800010005, to authorize the Jasper County Administrator to execute such contracts, amendments, deeds, and other documents as may be necessary and appropriate to effect the sale of 719 Holdings LLC or signs and matters related thereto. Mr. Ted.
Thank you, sir. This is very similar to what we just heard a moment ago with Elite Marble. This is a smaller piece of property that's adjacent to it. It is an odd-shaped piece of property. It's kind of a remnant next to some property sold over there. Approximately half of it has very small economic use because it's narrows. We negotiated for some period of time over the purchase price, the clawback. This one's a smaller piece of property. It's $21,600, guaranteeing a building of a 4,500 square foot fabrication. This is the metal fabrication shop. An office space, creates some new jobs in addition to the current number of jobs he has in his present stock over a 3-year period. If he doesn't perform, there's a clawback similar to pay the more close to fair market value. We've had a couple of presentations on this over the last several meetings. Happy to answer any questions. I am told, actually, I was directed by the purchaser today that he would like to close this by Friday if he can, so he's ready, willing, and able to go. If it passes tonight, third reading, we'll move forward to get that one out of the way and done this fiscal year.
Mr. Van Giesen. Oh, public hearing. Thank you. I'd like to open up to the public for a public hearing. Would anybody like to talk about it? Going once? Going twice? Third time. Public hearing has been closed. Now do I have a discussion? Mr. Van Giesen.
No, I think we've heard enough on this, and I'm excited to get this piece of property gone.
Mr. Arzillo.
And on the tax maps. Thank you, that's all.
Mr. Rowell.
I echo the same thing the Republicans and members have said.
I know I'm just going to, and this is not about this. It's about when it says signs. Does that mean that if 719 Holdings wants to sell the property, doesn't something happen, he can assign it to somebody else?
Well, in actuality, we started off, when we started this contract, it was with Infinite Precision, the current name of the property. It's not unusual for a purchaser to create a special purpose, single purpose entity, LLC, to hold the property, which is what he did, and that's why we included the words and signs. This is like the third iteration of the contract. Surely he could assign it, but whoever buys it is under the same obligation to meet the requirements of jobs and other stuff.
It wasn't about this, it was just generally.
Yes,
You
sir.
read these things and you,
We have many assignments, way too many than we care to deal with on all the FILO projects.
It's almost a guessing game by the time we get to closing, who we're really going to close in the name of.
Alan?
do I have a
Project seven,
motion
it's a
to
good thing,
approve,
sir.
disapprove, or amend?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye.
Aye.
All against? Hearing none, motion is passed. Number 19 has been removed. Mr. Fulgrim, your administrative report.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, I just want to point out two things. One that was in your report was the Workers' Compensation Insurance Trust. There was a little letter there from them explaining our experience modification, modifier for the insurance premiums. We're at 0.82, closer to the top than the bottom. Number 9 out of 42 counties that participate, I can recall when we were dead last, so that has a lot to do with the good work of our HR team, Ms. Nicole Holt and her team. So if you see her, please thank her for that. We pay a lot in premiums, but we pay more if we didn't have a good experience rate modifier. And then second thing is another shout out to something I learned Saturday evening, and that's for Chief Wells. Apparently at the South Carolina Fire Rescue Conference in Columbia, some of our fire rescue employees were recognized. Chief, would you please give a brief recognition of those folks?
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, as the administrator indicated, the South Carolina Fire Rescue Conference was hosted in Myrtle Beach. And part of that is the staff received a commendation on Meritorious Action Award that was presented to Captain Alan Perry, Lieutenant Danny Hawley, Matthew Richardson, Dallin Marsh, Aaron Saxon, Zachary Dwar, Brendan Wilkerson, and Tyler Smith. This action, the Meritorious Action Award, comes as a result of a Christmas Day call for service in which there was a motor vehicle collision involving entrapment and fire. Arriving crews found fire had already made its way into the passenger compartment. Were able to quickly gain control of that and then perform rapid extrication of the occupant, subsequently saving their life, and was recognized by the South Carolina Firefighters Association for their actions and bravery for the safety. So they were recognized and we obtained a plaque. They also received individual valor medals, and so we just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, on that positive note, that concludes my report, unless you had any questions of me.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
We have our comments. Today, would you like to have a comment or talk, Mr. Van Giesen?
No, I think I'm good.
Mr. Marzillo?
I'm good, thank you.
The only thing I'd like to say is we're in the home stretch now of getting the budget to third reading, going down those ways. I know that you've had a very inquisitive council that you probably haven't had before, and I appreciate staff and those that have kind of bared the burden of a lot of the questions that we're going to ask and have been asking. And it's nothing personal. We just want to make sure that we're setting the policy for the way that we spend the money for the taxpayers of Jasper County. So just want to thank you all, and hopefully we can get this thing passed on the 30th.
I would like to agree with Mr. Ralph. We are both learning, the staff is learning, we're learning, everybody's learning. For the better Jasper County. The last thing I have to say is, in Wisconsin, there was something that went horribly wrong. I'm sorry I have to address it, but you may not like what we do, you may not dislike what we do, but this United States is made on voting. Vote us in, you vote us out. And it's nothing personal. It's we're trying to do the best we can. We try to do the best we can all the time. Please talk to us. Give us your point of view. But don't do violence. Don't do personal things. It's all business. This is business here. You can be we can have an argument, but the next day I'll go out with a beer, I'll go out drinking, I'll go to church with you. It's just business. It's not worth a life. You know, and this last election kind of didn't like the way it was going. We're here as residents, right? And that's all I have to say. So we have to go in executive session. Do I have a motion to go in executive session?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise their right hand and say aye. Aye. I'd like to have a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comment? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. I'd like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Comment? All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
No? Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
You.